would think you would see in a random distribution that would reflect the community. And therefore, there's a bias against small business, be it women, minorities, American Indians, you name the group, that therefore they're not getting their, what you would say, they say fair share, but I would say not getting what you would think would be their statistical share under reasonable conditions of the city's business. So the minority community comes out, African American community came out and said, we want a disparity study. Well, I don't think the mayor actually ever said we couldn't afford it. I think the mayor, like myself, said, I'm not sure it's the best use of $500,000. But that didn't mean we weren't interested in understanding better the data. So the staff came back and proposed, because there's like 10 steps to doing a disparity study. The first 3 all talk about data collection and better understanding the data. A lot of the data that is out there is regional data. It's Hampton Roads, and the databases are not granular and do not have the data fields that allow you to do the attributions that you'd like to do to make it Virginia Beach specific to see how are you doing relative to the region. So the staff proposed, this is what their initial, was to do those first 3 steps and get that data to see where we are with the data set. That's the first foundation of doing a disparity study, is that data normalization. And they were going to do that. I think that makes sense. Meanwhile, while they were doing that, which is a much lesser cost, to continue to go out, hold more workshops, do these things, all these community outreaches, because there are some areas where actually the minorities were overrepresented. That's a good thing, I think, because you want to compete. Everybody wants to compete. I wouldn't want to cap myself at 10 or 12%. I'd want to be able to get 100% of the business if I could. So I think it's important. But now it appears, you know, I don't never like this guilty until proven innocent, because we haven't spent $500,000 or whatever that money might be for an independent group to come in and do something that we could incrementally do ourselves and look at the data and share it with the community. That means that we're not interested in solving a problem or making sure our system is fair. My view is we don't need a disparity study to see whether or not we have ethnic or gender or racial bias or disrepresentation. We need a crony capitalism study.
Amen to that.
That tells us whether or not there's some statistical bias based upon your campaign relationship with the council candidates and the contracts you get. That's the study that we need, because I've often said Bruce Smith's issue isn't because Bruce Smith is an African American. Bruce Smith's issue is he's not frequently on VPAT as a major contributor, and he's not one of the good old boys. It has nothing to do about his ethnicity, his being an African American. And I think many people understand that. Whether you're other people in the business community, I won't mention here, but Robert and I, one of our favorite friends, could tell you, has nothing to do with his. In fact, Bruce Smith was a 23% owner in the franchise for the cafe we recently awarded at the 17th Street. He was a 23% owner in that, as was Amada Hoffler and Gerald DeVaris had different, but he was a 23% owner. But the disparity study doesn't deal with those kind of development deals. It deals with when we go out and buy pencils, go out and buy paper, go out and buy road services, minor construction, paving roads. Those are the things it deals with. So it's like, oh, we're not interested. And I think that's not true. In the end, it may be one of these things as perception is reality. And as I told the mayor and the vice mayor, I personally think that our incremental approach was fiscally, from a steward point of view, the best way to go. Because I do think we need to understand and have better data, and I'm always for that. Because that's the place you start from. But it may well be that, you know, while you might say you're innocent until proven guilty, but here we're guilty until we're proved innocent, it may well be that the perception is such that it's the price we have to pay to make the perception go away. And sometimes you just have to realize that that's a political cost of legitimacy, and you bite into it. But if you're asking me on the objective merit, I think that we were on the right course, and we're outdoing this. Now, someone says, well, we're outdoing the state in terms of our performance, and they had a disparity study. We're outdoing Portsmouth and Hampton in terms of percentage of our stuff going out. But I can think of lots of disparity studies we'd like to do. I like the disparity between the growth of city spending and the declining income of families. That's a disparity study, but we're not doing that one. But nonetheless, it may well be, if that's what it takes to breach, if there's a faith breach there, and that is the cost of closing that gap, then it's a cost of doing business. And so we need to look at that, and I told Mary, I could support that, but I'm not willing to, I'm supporting it because I concede that we're doing something wrong and we weren't on a good path, but that the perception gap just creates a different liability of legitimacy, and we need to deal with that. And we should. But we do. But what I didn't like, they were open mic, and I think Diana was there. When people say, come up to the microphone and say, because there's no one who's African American on city council, you can't represent me. And somehow saying that the voters, who they voted, that their vote isn't legitimate, number one. And secondly, that people that sit up there don't take their oath seriously, because I do. Wouldn't represent people's interests independent of their ethnicity, gender, or race. I respect that that's entitled to the right to their opinion. I just take great exception to that. But then they're asking that same group that they say they don't trust to represent them to then go out and pick the diversity contract, the disparity contract and do the disparity study. So, but nonetheless, but I think it does address the harshness or the hard feelings that there are that the city council does not reflect the ethnicity and diversity of the community, but in reality the council is supposed to reflect the will of the voters. And I'm more interested in the diversity of the issues and the positions that they hold than whether they're Indian, European American or African American. Is what are the views and values that they hold at the exercise, because those very person who spoke out in favor of the disparity study that night turned out and voted against the African American community on the zoning and CTAC. So what's more important, the result that gives meaningful representation to the community of minorities, or the pandering that says I'll do a disparity study and at every opportunity votes against the very community that he's worried about? To me, the result is what counts. The votes are what counts. The results is what counts. We're going to go do this, and I think it is the price of political legitimacy. But on the merit, the staff must be acknowledged for the good work that they have done and the significant progress that we have made and will continue to make, independent of whether we did a study or not. And I just think elected leaders really need to stand up for their staff when they've done a great job. And someone should not read however we vote on that thing as a reflection that there's something untoward or not properly taking place as our good stewards, our city officials execute our procurement policies. That's just not the case. I'm not saying on some bounds there isn't that other dimension of crony capitalism working its way through, but it isn't because someone's a women business or an African American business or Asian Pacific Islander business. It's maybe the politically connected business, but those are two different things. I don't know how I'm doing on time, but I must be getting close.
Well, I have one thing, and I sent it to you. Senator Bill Estep sent me his water bill for a contract that he has, and for the cost of 20 gallons of water, which was only 9 cents, his bill was $23.26. He wanted me to bring it to your attention.
I saw it, I know, because you looked at that bill, guess where most of the bill is?
Yep.
Sewer, because sewer is an average daily fee independent of water use.
Yep.
Mine's $275.
I have a vacant house, and I get a bill for water and sewer, and there's no one living in there.
That's correct.
When I call the city, I called up and they said, oh, it doesn't matter if you use it or not. Everybody is assessed a certain.
That's correct.
Very good.
Yep.
Use it on, and actually the water's turned off there right now.
Yep,
And
that's
then,
correct.
And they charge you more if you don't use what they determine the appropriate minimum, regardless of the fact that we're supposed to save water.
Correct. 5,000, I
That
think.
blows my mind.
I just wanted to make a comment on one of the things you said before we close this down. Is if you want to look at a good place where you're guilty and to prove an innocent, try dealing with the federal tax people.
By the way, thank you all for having me. I hope I had all your... I'm probably one of the few people who's willing to say what they say and then you videotape saying it. Okay.